Hi everyone, I'm Kevin. I'm a senior product designer in growth. And today I am not going to be talking about growth because I am currently covering UX needs for the pipeline authoring group. So today I will be focusing mainly on exploring a new pipeline overview page, which is an issue that the engineering team from the pipeline authoring group kickstarted not so long ago. And essentially, when I just kind of join via my UX Borrow, I've been asked to provide some feedback on the UX direction and also help moving this issue forward. So, oops, presentation, click. All right. So what is the pipeline overview page? Just for you that don't know about it, if you go in GitLab under CI/CD pipeline, you can access it by clicking the site here, or if you have an open merge request via the merge request widget. So if you click here, it's going to load. And this is the pipeline overview page. So essentially what you have in this page, I think the main interesting piece that I'm going to jump into is the pipeline graph. Because the main point of this page is to basically for you to monitor your current pipeline or somebody else's pipeline, and essentially the information that you want to retrieve from this is the state of the current job, and if you basically need to act upon any of the jobs that would mess up your pipeline. So say you have a failed job or you have a manual job that you need to trigger for your pipeline to be successful. Essentially, this is where you would go. So either from the merge request, very likely from the merge request, or from the CI/CD pipeline page. So yeah, what were like some of the pain points that the team kind of mentioned? The first one was the graph scalability. So large pipeline are hard to parse and navigate using the graph view that I just showed you, which kind of then correlates with some efficiency issue, which means critical information are not simply surfaced. So identifying and fixing some bottlenecks like failed jobs is not an easy task when you have a big pipeline, essentially. And in terms of performance, it behaved well when I just show it, but it can be pretty long to load this specific graph. So some of the initiative that I'm talking about is this one. So this is Frederick. He is a engineer in the pipeline authoring team, and this was his kind of side project to try to fix this page. And one of I would say the main emphasis that he had was to show a graph. I mean, more of a data visualization of the pipeline, where you would see the breakdown of the different jobs and the one that are in progress, and also kind of put the graph on the side. I think in this proposal, he put it into the pipeline tab and switch it for a table where you would have directly a list of all of the jobs that you need to act upon. So this is not all jobs. This is simply the one that you need to act upon. So pending, failed, and I think, let me forget one. Forgot about it. Sorry about that. But anyway, I was asked to kind of, provide feedback on this direction and try to move the initiative forward. But before doing that, I had Vitika kind of pinging me, thankfully. And she basically mentioned that she worked on something similar a few milestones ago. So it was not exactly targeted as improving the pipeline overview page directly, but more about the experience around debugging and presenting job logs, which is very related to it, because once you're on the pipeline overview page, the next stop, if you have an issue with one of your job, is the job log. But anyway, through the work that she did, she also built up a different, how would I call this? Maybe a vision of what this page should be. And she ran a few moderated testing sessions to kind of try and refine the direction, which was amazing because she shared directly this with me. So thank you, VTK, by the way, it's super helpful. And yeah, and basically digging into her research, what I noticed is that these three specific insights that she found out, so show critical, actionable information about jobs up front, allow for a contextual identification of jobs in pipeline, and present a trend report for the running pipeline, were directly correlating with what Frederick was trying to do, and ultimately what the direction of this page was supposed to be, right? And additionally to this, there was another insight point, I think, that came from a larger study on verify and package usage. And one of the opportunities that were surfaced was that we should probably meet people where they are. So when people come they don't often come to the UI, but when they do come to the UI, is that there's an issue and something needs to be fixed urgently. So if you think about the pipeline overview page, today it might not be doing the best job to meet people where they are, right? And another one is that we could consider prioritizing pipeline insights. So CI and CD pipeline dashboard are in the top 3 features that essentially contribute people to, sorry, that is pushing people to buy a premium plan. So this is something that we pull out from the post-purchase survey. And what this tells me is that if we could essentially show a sample of insights or pipeline data that is equivalent to what the pipeline dashboards are doing for free, we could kind of pitch the value of higher tier feature and kind of try to see if people would consider upgrading to access these features. And at the same time, if they don't want to, we would still give a bit of value for free, which is great. So with all that in mind, I started kind of exploring again what this page could be. And to get started on that, I just simply took a step back and look at what the page is today. And what I wanted to do is essentially try to zone it, like create areas to understand the underlying structure of the page. And I may have oversimplified it, but to me, this was pretty much an accurate representation of the situation, is that we have half of the page being the metadata, the other half being pipeline actions. As you may think, maybe pipeline actions should be a bit more emphasized here, right? Based on what we've just said, the metadata is really taking a huge chunk of the structure and is probably something that we should consider changing, right? So with that in mind, I started kind of going back into what Frederick had done, what VTK had done, what the page currently was, and I just kind of stripped it out and rethink some of the building blocks. So what I wanted to do is obviously try to shrink the metadata as much as possible. So in this case, this is like the comment box that you see here. Introduce some of the, maybe I would call this pipeline status insights, and kind of use data visualization to basically add a bit more value to this page and keep the actions where they are at the moment, because the idea is not to completely operate a complete revolution on the page, but simply reorder things and add a bit of value here and there. So I started focusing on each of these single bits. So first the metadata part and the commit box. So drawing a lot of inspiration from the merge request page that we have right now. I got to start changing the layout of the metadata. So instead of having it vertically stacked. We just have it in one line, and essentially all of the information that you have about who approved the merge request and all that could be retrieved directly from the merge request, and the title of the merge request as well. So we could rely on tooltip and popover to kind of supply that information. And then I kind of focused more on the insights part. What do we want to provide about the current pipeline? Like what could be valuable? So again, these are explorations. Probably this will change, but just having some of the insights in mind, I thought it would be interesting to have a clear row of maybe small widget, we can call them widgets. One being the status with the time remaining and the current duration of your pipeline versus the average duration, and link to potential like CI/CD analytics that we have at the project level. So if you go in that specific tab, then the jobs breakdown is something that is echoing the visualization that Frederick built. I just kind of use a pie chart to try and like save a bit of space. And I felt that it was also a clear way to provide a very simple view of where your pipeline is at the moment, and highlight also failed jobs. Now I'm realizing that I'm missing the one that passed with warnings. And then a third widget that is focused on actionables. So the jobs that you do want to take care of, the jobs that are actually impeding progress. So what I see in this specific spot is potentially, surely failed job, not potentially, but a mix of failed job and manual jobs. Basically anything that requires, and maybe the pass-through warning, but basically everything that requires your immediate attention. And the last bit, which is the direct kind of view of the job and their relationship with the stages. So same thing, I kind of build upon the table view that Frederick had and VTK also had. The way I kind of approach this is, instead of having another tab, we could kind of toggle between a table view and a graph view. But yeah, then the table view would also have some of your pending manual job and failed jobs. So yeah, that is a first round of mockup. So it is obviously meant to evolve. But yeah, circling back to the different areas, I think this layout kind of provides a better balance, as it's reducing considerably the metadata, but also kind of resurfacing some of the actionables that we think could be a great way to improve this page. So yeah, so as I said, first round of mockup, after sharing it with the team, I had like a ton of feedback. So thanks everyone for that. And there are things that I want to add on this. So for example, surface the ability to download artifacts is something that we discussed with Gina, and I think it makes a lot of sense because it's definitely something that people check whenever they have a failed job. Then adding filtering and sorting option to this table, because if you start having a large amount of data, so like a lot of rows in your table, you would obviously want to simplify this view and try to filter them. Try another visualization for the job breakdown, like that was a first path. And also explore the relationship between like child, pipeline, nested jobs, then going a bit down into the nitty gritty of the relationship between pipeline and jobs and how this could potentially break this table or not. So yeah, so the next steps on that, ideally by the end of the year, we'd have completed some solution validation. I think in my mind, rapid iterative testing could be a great way to move forward and generate insight and test multiple layouts to kind of increase our confidence into what this page should look like, and then start, iterating on design and then define like smaller chunks in a specific MVC. And ideally, this is something to be kind of confirmed with the team, but try and implement and release an MVC by next year. during next year, basically. And that's it. Do you have any thoughts?
I would want to start off with giving a kudos because I saw like how much information you consumed and how much you like caught up with the context, and that's really commendable. So, and I can totally
Thanks.
see that like there were two things. First of all, the toggle between the graph and the list view, that's going to make the page so much better performing, because even though like graph was something that was that is very attractive to our users, it was having a really like huge toll on the performance of this page, and providing that as something like optional and that doesn't load by default when you come to this page, rather than making sure that they have everything they need to take the immediate action that's most critical to the context, everything clubbed. This is a very impactful change. Thank you so much for working on this.
Thanks. Well, thanks for your help, honestly, because I don't think I would have been able to, move forward and grasp a bit, faster the complexity of this page without you kind of showing me what you've did before. So that was super helpful. So thanks to you for that.
Happy to.
I have a question. I didn't write it down, but I won't type it. Is the time remaining in like some of the stuff, the analytics on the left there, where the current duration, average duration, is that all numbers that we have today, or is that like, does that need back end work to be able to create those?
Yeah, so discussing with the team, the time remaining is definitely a question. We're not 100% sure on that. But current duration and average duration seems good, as far as I understood.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I know that connects with some of the research that the research team was recently finishing up on. It was system performance research, and we heard that like a lot of users were basically waiting around for their pipeline or job to finish and didn't really understand why, and it made the perception as if our it just took a while for pipelines to complete, basically, because they didn't have that. So that's awesome. And I'd like to bring that to the job level too. That's something that I think would be helpful, and probably not related to this project, but if we could use like the same type of calculations that you do, that the backend team works with for this, we could bring it to the job level maybe.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I'm just plugging like a research link here that was done recently that could be of help to you, because there was a similar feedback that I also received in like during that research.
Cool. Thanks. Was it one that you did recently?
Yeah, at the booth,
Yeah.
GitLab booth, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I just wanted to add, like, thank you for sharing this like wonderful process you went through and questioning some of the, things that have been in our product and UI for many, many moons, longer than most of us have been here, and your thoughtful adjustment while not removing, the necessary information, but really considering the user's need when they come to this page. And so often we'll see creating dashboards as if people would kind of stare in awe at their beauty, where really they're looking to solve a problem or complete a task. So I love how you've just cleaned up this page and made it more performant, and you were thoughtful of the user's needs, all in a stage you don't belong in right now, which is amazing.
Thanks.
Well, you belong there, obviously, but
I get good help, to be honest. Like everyone from the CI/CD UX team or the pipeline authoring is super kind and helpful while I'm trying to adjust to what it means to design in CI/CD. So thanks.
Yeah. Bonus points for collaboration. I see Mike writing down a comment.
Yeah, let me just say it rather than painfully typing it. Just a thought, not really expecting an answer, unless there is one obvious one, more just to generate an idea. Do users need this kind of summary data on the jobs, failed jobs, and test tabs? And that is a leading question into like, should we maybe move the tabs up a little bit?
Yeah, I was playing around with that idea, and yeah, to be honest, I don't necessarily have the answer right now. I think the way I explore it, I think it kind of makes sense to have it global to all of them. But I think you also have a good point of like, you know, if you're in failed jobs, you don't need to visualization of the same thing, right? So yeah, it's food for thoughts. Thanks for that.
Yep.
I mean, I guess without knowing too much about the area, I see the top information kind of like a where to act or where to go or where does my attention need to go. And then from there, I move down the page and I start trashing, troubleshooting, looking for the problem that was indicated in the top section. But you will find out in research, I'm assuming.
That's the point, yeah. Because there's still that to do, and really curious about what we're going to learn on that.
Hey,
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know if anyone had an extra question, but I just had one for anyone on the call, because when I was working on this, kind of pulling the merge request page and kind of being inspired by the way we've worked on the header, I looked at other pages in GitLab, and you know what I've shown with the metadata taking a good chunk of the page. There is a way we organize the metadata on a lot of pages in GitLab, for example, issues and a lot of things. I can't get another page online. But anyway, the way we order it is a bit scattered and it's taking a lot of space. And I think what has been done in the merge request page was a great job to kind of tie it in to the title of the page and having this kind of header. And when I was working on it, I was just wondering, did we ever consider making this a region in pajamas or something similar? Because I could see this being useful in multiple places in the app and become a pattern that we rely on. That was a long question, sorry.
Well, I don't see anybody on the create team here. But I think that is a great thing to pursue, right? We could create an issue in pajamas and start discussing that. I mean, bringing our header metadata together and aligning it across all of our issuable types and other objects, alerts, vulnerabilities, even like the project homepage, you know, with some of the metadata, that all could be beneficiaries of this new approach. I agree.
I'll note this down.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. And thank you everyone for getting through our journey. So I will stop recording now.